showdown where sports and food collide. Basketball and barbecue, every fan's delight. From the court to the grill, stories we will share. Tasty bites and highlights together everywhere. Sports bites, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride. From fried chicken, slam dunks and spicy fries. Catch the play-by-play man on a plate of good times. Join us for the flavor, join us for the game. Every bite and replay, memories will frame. Sports bites, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride. Football and fried chicken, slam dunks and spicy fries. Catch the play-by-play man on a plate of good times. Join us for the flavor, join us for the game. Every bite and replay, memories will frame. Sports bites, let's unite. Great food and games tonight. Tune in, feel the vibe. It's a winning ride.
Welcome to Sports Bites. Welcome to Sports Bites with your host, Chris Joseph. Are you a sports fanatic who loves the thrill of the game and the delicious food that accompanies it?
And then they had chicken fingers, exotic chicken fingers.
Join us as we dive into the world of sports and the delectable bites that make the experience even better. Whether you're in the stadium, tailgating, or watching from the comfort of your home. Get ready to satisfy your sports cravings with Chris Joseph on Sports Bites. Let's dig in.
Welcome in. It is Friday. And we got a big weekend of college football coming up. Obviously, you can see what I'm wearing. I'm excited about the game tomorrow. College game day in Norman, Oklahoma, Tennessee. We all know the history. Josh Heupel. We're going to get into it. We're going to break it down. First, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to join me. Brad, what's up, brother? A great show the other night. The punter from Iowa. Guys, if you're an Iowa fan, go check out the Hawkaholics podcast. Great stuff. They've had the current punter. They also had the inventor of the wave, which is one of the best traditions in all of college football. All right? So if you like Iowa Hawkeye football, and Brad, I got a little connection being that, I did play-by-play for George Kittle when he was in high school. So, of course, he went up there, and now he is what he is. Brad, how you doing, man? I know he's excited. The Ducks are rolling. Dylan Gabriel up there playing some good football. But, again, it's Friday night, Football Friday night. And kind of give you a little rundown of what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about, I picked 6 games, right, that I think are the most important games of the weekend. We're going to talk about those. Feel free to jump in the chat. When I used to do radio, I loved caller-driven shows. I love the interaction. If you think I'm being stupid, you think my pick's bad, let me know. I mean, we could, like I said, I want this to be like like a barber shop, right? Everyone just talk and have a good time. George, hey, look, Brad, I'm gonna tell you, I spoke with his dad the other day. They do a podcast. George's dad and his sister do a podcast. Obviously, real busy during the football season. But yeah, I've known George since he was a freshman in high school. His dad, Bruce, worked at the University of Oklahoma because he was a teammate of Bob Stoops, and that's what got them there. He was one of the directors of recruiting at the University of Oklahoma. And I've got a funny story I'll tell later. I've told it before about George and his recruiting. Like Iowa wasn't heavy on him. I think he was going to Air Force because the school he played at in Oklahoma, Norman High, was a run-oriented offense, and he was a wide receiver and a safety, but he loved to block, what he does now. But, of course, he goes to Iowa, puts on weight, becomes one of the best tight ends in the game. And the thing I'll tell you this, Brad, that I love about seeing George, every time I see him, whether it's in the show Receivers, he's the same guy. He hasn't changed. Now, people are, you haven't grown up. He's the same kid he was in high school. He loves to play football. He loves wrestling. He loves his wife. He loves his dog. He loves his family. Great. So I wish George nothing but the utmost success. But, guys, if you look down here, right, see all the socials. I'm live everywhere. On X, follow me at SportsBitesPod1. On TikTok, I put out poll questions. I do a lot of interacting on TikTok at SportsBitesPod. You can subscribe on YouTube at the Sports Bites Podcast, which next week I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be doing a lot of content live from the Plains, from Jordan-Hare Stadium. I'm going to be at Oklahoma-Auburn, Oklahoma's first official road game in the SEC. The first official game, big one tomorrow night. We're going to talk about this in the show, but I'll be down there covering the tailgating. I know you got to go to Toomer's. I know you got to go to Mama Goldberg's, get a beef and cheese with their nachos at Mama Goldberg's. My kid's excited about the lemonade at Toomer's, and we'll talk about that, but there'll be a lot of content here. I do a lot of food stuff. I do a lot of sports stuff, right, guys? It kind of goes hand in hand. And on that, so tonight, my top 5 category. Last week, and it was funny, the debate that it stirred up. Last week, I did top 5 wing flavors. Tonight, I'm doing top 5 nacho toppings because we decided, my kid's like, I want to have nachos for the game Saturday night. Bet. Say less, kid. I got you. So, and in this, and I'm going to preface this. You can put in the chat what your favorite nacho toppings are too. Now, in this, let me say I'll preface this way. Cheese is it's already on there. Like, that's not a top, like nachos is chips and cheese, right? Cheese is on there. You don't have to put that on there. But there's whatever else you want to add on top of nachos. What are your go-tos? What are your top 5? Put it in the chat. Let me know what you think. But first, I want to talk about an important event. It's not a game that I picked to break down, but it's still an important game. It's the red bandana game for Boston College, and we all know the story about the Boston College lacrosse player, right? Wells Crowther. He heroically saved dozens of people during the September 11th attack. He ended up losing his life, was never able to make it out of the tower, but he always carried a red bandana. And so now in the 11th year of this game, Boston College plays Michigan State. And it's weird kind of tying into it. So today is the 20th of September. The September 20th, South Carolina, Mississippi State was the first big-time football game to play after the 9/11 attacks. Kind of a crazy story. Now, I'll tell you, there's a documentary, a 30-minute show on the SEC network, and it's just called 920. Obviously, everybody knows about, like 9/11, but at Scott Field and Starkville, South Carolina won 16-14 that day. But it's a really cool little documentary. It's put on by Mississippi State, but it's just interesting. Today is the 20th, and that was the day that South Carolina and Mississippi State played. But this game it's always cool. Last year, I know they played Florida State. Didn't turn out well for them. Michigan State, it just, makes you think, puts things into perspective, right? But for the Crowther family, for everybody, I mean, Crowther was known, for his red bandana. It became a symbol of bravery and selflessness for the community. Like I said, now it's an 11th year poignant tribute that goes beyond sports, reflecting on Crowther's legacy and the values embodied. So it's just, again, shout out to Boston College, to the Crowther family. And, it's one of those, it was a sad day, but I love, to see this. And there's always a ton of people at the game, right? There's always a ton of people. And, it's a cool look, the red bandana uniform, right? It's a cool look. So, but great tradition to do. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's really cool in the honoring of what they did. So, yeah, I love the jerseys. Love that. I still think, what Iowa does, man. We talked about, I think, Iowa with the wave. And I always tell people, my sister is a childhood cancer survivor. Trying not to tear up. But spent a lot of time in the hospital with her. And to see that, it's moving. It's really moving. And I love it. I love it. There's a lot of great traditions. And that's one of the reasons why I love college football, because of the traditions. I need a little bourbon after that. But let's jump right in. Let's talk some ball. Let me hear what you think about what's going on. First game down on the Plains, Jordan-Hare Stadium, Arkansas. Bacon Bits coming to town to take on the Auburn Tigers and Hank Brown. Now, Green at quarterback for Arkansas obviously has done some great things. Arkansas almost let the Oklahoma State loss beat them twice. UAB came in there, and Trent Dilfer, a good coach, hasn't figured out how to win on the road yet. I think they're now 0-8 on the road in his tenure at UAB. So they got this weekend off before they host the Naval Academy next weekend. But they went to Arkansas and were up. And were doing whatever they wanted to Arkansas early in the game. Jacob Zeno, really good quarterback. He knew Trent Dilfer from the Elite 11. So they were able to push Arkansas. Now, Auburn fans, and being that I live out here in Alabama, Auburn fans were done with Peyton Thorne. They were done with him, And not to say he's not a good kid, but I told people from the beginning, Thorne is what I thought he was. Go back and there, I know there's clips. Go back and listen to Keon Coleman talk about why he left Michigan State. He didn't want to play with Peyton Thorne. And so Hank Brown, and funny, Hank Brown ties in, played for Trent Dilfer at Lipscomb in Tennessee. Trent Dilfer's already come out and said Hank Brown is a Sunday player. I was like, oh, okay. He's like 28 of 32 quarterbacks in the NFL have played or participated in the Elite 11 camp when he was a part of it. So he knows. But this is a big game. So 2:30, Arkansas, Auburn. Hank Brown, a little bit of struggle early, but he really picked it up, played exceptionally well in the second half. Would that have made a difference against Cal? I don't know. But now you've got a win. Now you've got some momentum going. Now you got somebody who can utilize the play action with Jarquez Hunter, who can run the rock, right? They need to get him in space more. I'm looking at this, you look at the point spread down there. Auburn favored by 2.5. You figure, so that being at home, that's your little 3-point bump. So Vegas to me is like, it's a pick 'em game. You're getting that right there at 2.5. I like Auburn minus the 2.5 because I think it's a field goal game somewhere down that point. But Arkansas, they're a tale of two halves. They've not put together, except against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Well, let's not really count that. A complete football game. First half against Oklahoma State, great. Second half, terrible. First half against UAB, terrible. Second half against UAB, much better. So it'll be interesting to see what Sam Pittman and Petrino and those guys can do if they can actually put together a full football game. The total 56.5, Arkansas can score. Don't get me wrong. Arkansas can score. Auburn's defense is not bad. I don't know. I would probably go under, and the money line, Arkansas plus 110. I'm okay with that. But if I'm just going by spread, I like Auburn minus the 2.5 at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And I'm going to tell you this, I can't wait to be down there next week. I cannot wait to be down there next week. We're going down Friday night. My son, my wife, we're going to meet up with my sister and brother-in-law. They have an RV down there. I know Barstool Sports is out there today at the RV station that they have, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to see a lot of the Oklahoma fans. If you're out there watching, let me know if you're coming to the game. Put it in the chat. Let me know if you're coming out to Auburn. I'll show you where you need to go. Follow me. I'm going to take you to the good stuff. And I guess where they keep their RV, there's going to be food truck stuff like that. So I'm really excited about going to Jordan-Hare next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I kind of wish it was a night game, but I think it's going to be a 2:30 game. It'll still be hot, but it'll be a lot of fun going down there. The Battle of Florida, all right? The U in South Florida. This game played in Tampa, and it's a 6 o'clock game. Miami has looked really good so far. Cam Ward has looked really good so far. South Florida has a offensive mastermind as a coach. Alex Golesh, tremendous when it comes to X's and O's. Tremendous. He's the one that was Josh Heupel's offense coordinator when they knocked off Alabama a couple years ago. But Cam Ward, is the U back? Is the U the ACC frontrunner right now? South Florida has some athletes. Byron Brown, I don't know if he has all the tools yet. I mean, he's a good athlete. I don't know if he's a good quarterback yet. Miami by 17.5. Ooh, a total of 65.5. And that money line, USF plus 600. That's pretty beefy. Pretty beefy. But in this game, I think Cam Ward's the difference. I think he's just, he's on a different level right now. He left Washington State, and what he's doing right now, I like what Cam Ward's bringing to the table. Now, this game will be interesting. UCLA travels to Death Valley for the first visit ever. LSU favored by 22.5. Ooh. You see that money line, LSU or UCLA plus 1,100. 2:30 kickoff in Death Valley. I just think LSU is way too much. Garrett Nussmeier, and again, I'll say this. You're very lucky. You're very lucky not to have 2 losses. And I hate saying it because I used to officiate, but you are a couple of terrible calls away from being 0-2. Having 2 losses. Because South Carolina got screwed. Now, again, I don't think there was any intent behind it. Just, you're not good at your job. You're terrible at officiating with some of those calls. Terrible. And like I said, I try to defend officiating, but I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. It's so egregious, and I don't know what you're supposed to tell defensive players to do, especially if they come in at the quarterback. I don't understand it. But enough being said on that. Garrett Nussmeier, LSU, really good offense, right? Still having some problems on defense. That's why I think I took the over 56.5 in this game. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. Nichols scored a good amount of points on LSU. Sorry, Cody. It's just true. So I like this matchup for LSU. I like them to kind of really get into a flow. Now, they got behind. South Carolina played really damn good football. Really good football last week. But again, a credit to LSU and to Garrett Nussmeier, because you're coming in having to replace a Heisman Trophy winner who had a phenomenal season, and now it's your turn, and you're not letting things kind of knock you away, right? You're sitting here, you're running the team. So a tip of the hat to Garrett Nussmeier what he's doing. But I like if I'm betting the line, I would probably take LSU giving up the 22 points. I just think they're that much better than UCLA. I don't think they're that good. I would probably take the over as well. I think in that game there's going to be a lot of points scored. I could see something like, 58-21, something like that. That's kind of what I see there. Now, this game, man. A traditional Rose Bowl rivalry, right? How many times has USC and Michigan met in the Rose Bowl? Now they're conference rivals. Michigan has already taken one bad loss, right? Now there is a ton of money coming on Michigan lately. I put this yesterday when I was making graphics, and it was at 5. I think it opened at 6, and I think it's all the way down to 4 now if you look at something like ESPN. The Illini D-line is legit. Man, I forgot that's on. I need to turn that on my second monitor. Big Ten backers, guys. Hey, if you like Big Ten coverage, you need to go check out the Big Ten backers. Great stuff over there. The Illini up 7-0. And I'll tell you guys, from Big Ten backers, I've been wrong about Luke Altmaier and the Illini all year. I've been wrong. I've went against them. Now it'll be interesting. Like I said, I got to turn it on and see it on my second screen, but the environment in Lincoln, the excitement, it's your 400th consecutive sellout, nothing to do there but, farm and football. That's all they do, right? But it's a big, I want to see Dylan Raiola. Now I'm going to say this about Dylan, okay? Nebraska fans, I'm sorry. He's got to be careful. He's a couple biscuits away from being Jared Lorenzen. He's a little bit thick. He's got to watch that. I mean, his daddy was an offensive lineman, so he's got to watch that. The fake Mahomes, as people are calling him. But yeah, if you guys have any interest in the Big Ten backers, and that's one of the reasons I like working for the College Football Dogs TV. Well, no matter what conference, I mean, we got a couple of guys, Rock Hard Ball. They cover Nebraska, do a great job. You got the Big Ten backers. You got the Buckeye Bros. Football Frame of Mind, Golden Boot podcast, really SEC-centric, does a really good job talking about that. I'm kind of all over the place, mainly SEC now with Oklahoma being in there, but just love talking ball. But this game right here, man, I don't see Michigan hanging close. I don't see it. I look at this like the Michigan or the Texas game. Now, I think Michigan might be able to score. I say might. Now they're making the switch to Alex Orji, who obviously can't throw the ball. So if I'm USC, I load the box up to blow up the run and make Alex Orji beat you with his arm, which I don't think he can. So in that, like I said about the Texas-Michigan game, if USC gets up by 2 scores, it's done. It's done. Dunzo. Like Tom Haverford said, dunzo. USC -5, total of 43.5. That's tempting because I just don't know what Michigan is going to be able to do offensively. Because we know, USC's had their first shutout in 11 years or since 2011. And, I mean, playing better defense. They look like they have direction. They look like they have meaning and purpose, right, when they play defense. That's what I like seeing. But Michigan, did Connor Stallions mean that much to you? You look like a different football team. You look like a completely different football team. And J.J. McCarthy, was he that good? Because Alex Orji's not the guy. So if I'm USC, load the box up. Don't let Edwards get going. Harass, pressure Orji. And I think USC wins this game comfortably. And again, I could be wrong, but I think USC wins this game easily, right? Easily. They're in the big house. How many times have they been, it's kind of like Oklahoma. When's the last time Michigan was underdogs twice? Underdogs twice at home, right? And they might get housed twice. So I like USC in this game. I would take USC given the 5 all day. The battle of Father Times, right? The battle of Father Time. Utah, the 2 Utes. Utah, give me 2. Cam Rising is going to go with his banged up hand, banged up knee. Oklahoma State, Bowman. I think they said the combined age between the 2 quarterbacks is 49 years, which that's ridiculous to think of. Oklahoma State, this is a game that everyone kind of talked about at the beginning of the Big 12 season of these 2 are going to be some of the top people. Kansas State looks like they're going to be right there. Kansas has stumbled out of the blocks, not yet ready for prime time like they used to do on Saturday Night Live. The Kansas Jayhawks not yet ready for prime time. Kansas State is. Utah, Oklahoma State. And I love the contrasting styles of Whittingham and Gundy. Whittingham likes to be really physical. And Ollie Gordon has got to do something because he's not had a great year coming in. I would have had him as the number 1 running back coming in this year. And believe me, as an Oklahoma guy, I hate saying that, but I would have had him as the number 1 running back coming in this year. I mean, he didn't do anything until the overtime game against Arkansas. Had less than 50 yards total rushing. I mean, he's really good on those stretch plays, one cut, and go. But if it's not open, and he's one of those guys watching Ollie Gordon that while he's matriculating down the field, he's really not, he doesn't look like he's running that fast, right? But he gets a lot of yards. But this game here, again, I think it depends on the health of Cam Rising. If Oklahoma State can get some pressure on Cam Rising, get him out of the pocket, knock him around a little bit. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Oklahoma State, and I'm going to talk from experience of playing on that field, from officiating on that field, and from covering games on that field. Boone Pickens Stadium, the distance from out of bounds to the wall where those paddle people are is one of the shortest spaces I've seen in college football. And we saw what happened with, I don't know who you are. I'm not going to put you up there. Link for streaming. Sorry. Not going to put that up there. But I played at Boone Pickens in high school. I officiated there. And it is really, really close. Like once you go out of bounds, it's probably right at 5 yards. So we know that Rising got hit last week, right? Got hurt. Can he handle it? Knock him out really close by that wall, right? But I think that's going to be the biggest thing. My kid's phone is going off in the background. Oh my gosh. I apologize. He left his phone up in here. But I like Oklahoma State in this game. Oklahoma State minus 2.5. I like the total, 52.5. I think both teams are going to score a lot of points in this game. It's going to be one of those, 38-34 games, 38-31. I think they get over 60 in this game. But I like what I see there, right? And I hate saying it, I think Oklahoma State kind of pushes themselves out in front of the Big 12 as being the team to chase right now. Because this will be the best win for the Big 12. Arizona, again, I don't know how Arizona's going to pan out. So, Kansas State beat Arizona and looked good doing it, doing everything they needed to do. But are they going to be able to continue that and move forward? So, all right, now I want to get into it. I'm going to get into it. Game day in town. I saw Pat McAfee talking with Patty Gasso. And I'm going to say this. I don't have an issue with Blake Shelton, right? I don't have an issue with him. He's fair. He's a good artist. He's a good artist. But in the state of Oklahoma, he is not like an OU guy. He is, I like the whole state. I like Oklahoma State. I like Oklahoma. I like Tulsa. We get it. You're politicking. You're selling records. I got you, Blake. I got you. But with this game, with Oklahoma and Tennessee, the first official SEC game for the University of Oklahoma, game day, everything, every prime time. Heupel coming back. The prodigal son returns. Then you go with Blake Shelton. Now, I know Baker couldn't do it. Baker's playing. And here's what I'm disappointed in. Now, I saw Patty Gasso go on the Pat McAfee show. They put Don Staley on the game day show last week, right? Don Staley, one of the best basketball coaches in all of college sports, hands down. Whether it's men's or women's, she gets the job done. She has all the check boxes filled, right? All filled. Phenomenal coach. What she means to her sport right now can't be touched. So why not have Patty Gasso do it? 8 national championships, 4 in a row. But you go with Blake Shelton. Hell, I know Morgan Wallen's trying to get to the game. I'd have rather had Tennessee fan Morgan Wallen come in and do the picking just to rile Oklahoma fans up. Peyton Manning, he's going to be up in the booth somewhere. You know, I've heard he's coming to the game. He's going to find his way on TV, I'm sure. You know, now, and I'm trying to remember, high school teammate of mine named Marcus Nash played at Tennessee with Peyton when we played out in Oklahoma in high school. It'd be interesting to see if he's going to be at that game. A legend for Tennessee receiving number 12, Marcus Nash. But I don't like, I'm okay with Blake Shelton. I don't like the pick. I wish it would have gone somewhere else. I'm glad that they didn't do Trae Young. I mean, I like Trae. I don't think Trae would have been great on the show. Baker's obviously great. I'd love to see the Boz. Maybe Boz was filming another Dr. Pepper Fanville commercial. I don't know. But in this game, all right, last time I looked, there was 94% of the money is on Tennessee. Now, when the availability report, because we're not going to call it an injury report, when the availability report came out, the line moved about a point. So a lot of people really were, betting towards Oklahoma with Nick Anderson coming back. You got Branson Hickman, so it's really interesting to see what that line has done. And I tell people, I got the picture saved right here. I'm going to tell you. So the last 6 times Oklahoma was an underdog at home. And I was at this game 2016 against Ohio State. I drove from Alabama to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma was never in that game. Never in that game. One of those touchdowns shouldn't have counted. Joe Milton. Oh, goodness. Crazy. But Ohio State demolished that game, right? Ohio State killed Oklahoma. 2000, Nebraska, right? We were underdog there, won 31-14. That was the great game that kind of announced Oklahoma's back. Josh Heupel, quarterback on that team. 1999, A&M, 4-point underdog. Josh Heupel, again, dominated 51-6 against A&M. Now, the last time they were a touchdown underdog, right? A touchdown underdog at home was 1998 against Texas Tech. And they won that game, 20-17. 1998, Colorado. I don't think that was Joel Klatt yet. I don't think it was Joel Klatt. They were a 3.5 point underdog, lost 25-7. 1997, they were a 13-point underdog. And that was during that really bad John Blake era, Howard Schnellenberger, lost 51-7 to Texas A&M. But think about that. They have not been an underdog at home by a touchdown or more since 1998. Crazy. And it's 2 ranked teams. And a lot of it is because of the injuries. A lot of it is because of Oklahoma not being as explosive on offense as they're used to, right? Everyone always said, if Oklahoma had to have defense, maybe they'd have more national champions. Well, now they're playing defense. They just haven't been doing it on the offensive side of the ball. But they still have found a way to go 3-0. Now, in comes Tennessee. And I was telling somebody today that the chess game, the mental Olympics between Brent Venables, Zach Alley, and that defense against Josh Heupel and his offense. Because if you think about everything, Josh was a quarterback when Brent was a coach there. So it was coach and player relationship. Josh was coaching at Oklahoma with Brent, coaching together, picking the minds. I'm sure Josh, talked with Brent about defense and this and that. Brent leaves, faces Josh, embarrasses Josh's offense. One of the reasons is probably that Josh was let go. But they know each other. But also in that, Josh Heupel's kind of changed a little bit on what he does, right? Josh Heupel wants to run the football. And a lot of people who play championship football, that's what they do. They want to run the football. You want to tote the rock, right? They're going to do a lot of, pin and pull with their 2 tight end sets. They're going to run some GT tackle, some counters. They want to run Sampson's got 9 touchdowns, leads the SEC. I think the best running backs right now is between him and Rocket at South Carolina. Those 2 guys are phenomenal. Oklahoma can stop the run. They're giving up 2.2 yards a carry. Nico Iamaleava, fantastic quarterback. The young man has got tremendous ability. He's long. His arm is real whippy. He can maneuver out of the pocket. But again, this will be his first official road test. His first official road test. It's going to be a hostile environment, game night, prime time. But do they hear, everyone talking about how good they are? Everyone talking about how Tennessee should blow Oklahoma out. There's not many people, national pundits, that are saying Oklahoma is going to be relevant in this game. And I'll express a concern as an Oklahoma fan, right? I'll express concern because just like I said in the USC-Michigan game, if Oklahoma's offense goes out, and I think it was 38% of the time on their offense possessions are 3 and outs. If they go 3 and out multiple times in a row and let Tennessee get up by 2 scores, it could probably be a wrap for that game. Jackson Arnold, if you get Nick Anderson back, maybe Nick Anderson will take some of the focus off Deion Burke. You got to have Roberts and Bauer Sharp at the tight end, become more effective. Taylor Tatum, I like, run 2 back. You heard DeMarco Murray on some interviews this week talking about how he's really been wanting to get more 2-back offense out there because it's hard if you got Javonte Barnes and you got Taylor Tatum, right? So if you have those 2 guys, and you saw that I think they scored both times with Taylor Tatum in a 2-back set last week against Tulane. But yeah, this game, when you're trying to do this job and you want to do it correctly, you've got to take heart and emotion out of it, right? I love my team. I loved covering the team. I was there the last time Tennessee came into town. Julian, had a pick 6 in that game. It was great. My boy Jordan Evans leading the way. They throttled Tennessee. And, of course, the next year, Oklahoma goes up to the stadium, and Baker leads them back. We all know what happened there. But this game, if Tennessee can get going running the football, if they can run against Oklahoma, it's going to spell doom. It's going to spell doom. Now, there's a lot of people I'm hearing saying that Oklahoma's secondary is the weak part. They've only had 1 real bust all season. The thing I'll say about Oklahoma's secondary and their defense is they are tackling better. Open field tackling is far better than it has been in years for the Oklahoma Sooners. But they've got to put pressure on Nico Iamaleava. They have to. And Brent, being the defensive mind that he is, Zach Alley, everybody says he is a carbon copy of Brent. Brent's going to bring some looks that Nico hasn't seen. But that's why I said the chess match between Brent and Josh Heupel, because they kind of know each other. And I'll say this, Josh, if he gets a chance to run the score, he will. He will. I hate Tennessee with a passion. I want them to lose every game they play. That said, Tennessee is a far different animal than Houston. And they are. We didn't play Toledo, but it's Temple. It's still just bad. I'm Chris. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of Tennessee winning big. Like I said, it's one of those that if Oklahoma, because again, 38% of their possessions they've gone 3 and out for Oklahoma. You go 3 and out. Chris, I'm just messing with you, buddy. I thought you were meaning Temple. You're right, but also let's think about this. Tulane and Houston are far better than Chattanooga and who else did they play? Kent State, North Carolina State may not be what they thought. So it's on both sides, but I'm leaning more your way on that. I'm worried because again, when I'm picking games, I want to you want to see, right? I want to see. And what I've seen from the Oklahoma offense doesn't give me a warm fuzzy that they're going to be able to go in there. Now, they may not have the best stats, that defensive line. James Pierce Jr. hasn't put up the numbers as some people thought, but maybe this is the time he comes unglued and does what he needs to do. Now, I did see there was a report of, who was it just backed out? Or it was Pete Thamel put on Twitter that Tennessee left tackle Lance Hurd will be out against Oklahoma. It'll be his second game that he's missed. So, again, injuries, that's what's kind of been the Achilles for Oklahoma this year with all the receivers being out. If Nick Anderson is back, cool. Andrel Anthony, if he steps on the field, I don't know if he's going to be the same as he was last year because when he got hurt against Texas, he was the leading receiver for the University of Oklahoma until he blew his knee out. But this game, man, it's, I'm racking my brain. I'm trying, what does my gut say? What does this say? I think Tennessee wins, right? I think Tennessee wins. I think Oklahoma keeps it close, right? I don't think they have the, if it gets into like the 30s, I think it's a problem for Oklahoma. Part of the reason Pierce hasn't put them, he's getting double teamed. He is getting double teamed, but also they're rotating 6 guys on the interior and 6 guys on the edge. So they're all fresh. I think the most snaps that James Pierce has taken in a game this year is 14. So I think if I heard that correctly, 14 snaps. I love James Pierce. James Pierce is he is a prototypical, he is going to be a Sunday player. I hope he falls to Washington. And comes and becomes a commander and a good defensive player for us out there. But their secondary, kind of suspect at times. But the front 7 for Tennessee is their strength. And Jackson Arnold's been sacked 9 times against what I think would be lesser equipped defensive football teams. Now, some of that has been, Taylor Tatum, the freshman running back, missing his assignment, not picking up blitzes as he should. And a lot of it is guys out of position, not playing with it. But Branson Hickman, who was an All-American at SMU last year, I think he got hurt on like the second drive in the game against Temple and has been out. So, total of 56.5. I like the over in that game. I like the over. And it's one of those, like I said, I think Oklahoma, if they want to keep it close and have a chance, they've got to create turnovers. They've got to put Nico in some adversity. They've got to make a big play in the special teams, whether it be a block punt, a big return, something like that. But I think you need one of those plays if you're Oklahoma to kind of get ahead of it. Because, again, like I mentioned, just like the Texas game against Michigan, if Tennessee gets up by more than 1 score, that could spell the end for Oklahoma. George, you're absolutely right, buddy. Oklahoma will have their hands full. But, again, and I'm going to say this to all the Oklahoma fans out there, this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. You wanted to be a part of the SEC? Here you go. Here comes Josh Heupel and this Tennessee offense. Yeah, they've got 2 corners. They got some, Woody Washington. You got to think, even safety play. Billy Bowman I think he was tied for the interception lead last year, had 3 pick sixes. But yeah, I like the matchup. Woody Washington's a 5-year senior, the experience. Now, speed is one thing. So, that's why I think, Vandy Kritz, I think that run game for Tennessee is huge. If Sampson's going off, that play action, because then you got to worry about Nico leaving the pocket. I mean, there's a lot to think about. And I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches if you're Josh Heupel, right, in that offense. Because, again, Brew McCoy, love him. Hated that he got hurt last year. Squirrel White, love him. And what I've seen from Nico, he's pretty legit. Now, he did have a couple bad throws in that North Carolina State game. And that's why Oklahoma is good defensively at turning teams over. If they can turn Tennessee over, get some short fields, it might be close. That being said, I'm not picking with my heart. I've got my OU stuff on. I show support. I love my team. But trying to be I wouldn't say concise, but, a journalist with integrity. I'm not just going to pick Oklahoma just to pick them. What I've seen on tape, Tennessee right now is a better team. But again, we've seen better teams lose all the time. All the time. Oklahoma, and I've mentioned it before, Oklahoma is not one of the most insane places to go play because of the crowd. The student section, and I hope some of the Oklahoma students hear this, you suck. You suck. You're a front-running bunch. If you're up at halftime, you're gone. You don't come back. It's sad. And everyone, whoa, it was hot. Shut up. You're in college. You go to the football game. It upsets me every time I look over. When I used to be up in the press box, and I'd look over that student section, and I'm like, nope. Give those tickets away. Give them to somebody who will stay for the game. But again, in Gaylord Family Memorial Stadium, there is a problem. You got old people that have had tickets forever telling you to sit down. I think 2008, the jump around game when they played Texas Tech, was the last time that place was rocking really good. They tried to do it again in a Bedlam game when Oklahoma won in overtime. Tried to play. I don't think it had the same effect. But Oklahoma doesn't have the record because of how intimidating that environment is. And I hate saying it. I wish it was more intimidating. And that's why I can't wait for Oklahoma fans. And I know they've been to some places like Ohio State, but on a weekly basis, when you go to Oxford, when you go to South Carolina, when you go to Kentucky, Kentucky's environment was giving Georgia all it wanted, So you're in for, you got to bring it. And I think Danny Stutzman, the All-American, preseason All-American linebacker, called out the fans, called out the students, saying, hey, we need your help. You need to get in there. I want to see Nico. I can't hear. I got to see it. But picking the game, journalistic integrity, looking at what I see, X's and O's right now, I think Tennessee wins. It pains me to say it, but I think Tennessee wins. But I think in this game, I'm afraid of Oklahoma losing big. And then, of course, what's going to be the tagline? They're not ready. They're not ready for the SEC. I think they are. I think they will be. They got to come into a rhythm on offense, but I don't want to have a moral victory, but I hope it's a close game. I hope they win. I want to come on Monday and be like, hey, I got my pick wrong because Oklahoma won. I'd love to say that. But I think Tennessee wins the game. And I even like Tennessee given the 6.5. I think it's like a touchdown, 10-point game, 41-31, something like that, but not like a blowout 41-31. I think it's going to be, competitive. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm intrigued to see what Owen Field brings for the first official SEC game in Oklahoma. Now, I think they played the first official SEC game, period, against Mississippi State in soccer and lost. But that's my 6 games, and now it's time for my Give 'em a Sixer 6 picks.
We're gonna count it down real quick. Top 6 in sports bites mix. What's popping in your town? We're bringing it all around. Give 'em a sixer, top sixer. You know we're here to fix ya. Best of the best, ain't no mess. Time to impress.
Yeah, here we go. My Give 'em a Sixer 6 picks for the week. I am 6-6 on the year. I screwed up last week on my lock. I don't know where I saw the number. I had the lock for the Apple Cup like 15 points lower than what it was. I messed up, so I took the L. So I'm 1-1 on my locks. But here's my 6 picks. Give me South Florida plus a 17.5 over Miami. It's a lot of points. South Florida hung with Alabama until late in that game. Just some great plays by Jalen Milroe, Ryan Williams. But I like South Florida getting the 17.5 points. So give me that. I like the over in the USC-Michigan game. I think USC is going to take care of a lot of that by themselves. Will Johnson might have a pick 6, but I like the over. Oklahoma State minus 2.5 against Utah. I hate picking the Cowboys as much as I hate picking Texas. But I think Oklahoma State, with the health of Cam Rising really being in question, if he bangs that hand on a helmet, anything, no. And I know Zach Wilson's brother came in and played well last week, but the paddle people are going to be smacking, Joe's fries being eaten at Eskimo Joe's. Everyone's going to have a good time. I think Oklahoma State wins that game. My lock of the week, there's my locks. Look right there next to number 4. I like the over in the UCLA LSU game of 56.5. I like the over. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game. Nichols was able to put up over 20 points on LSU. LSU will be able to score because of the offense they have. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Number 5 game, Auburn. I got them winning over Arkansas, minus a 2.5. I think Hank Brown, this was in Fayetteville. I'd probably feel a little different. I'm sorry, George. I know George is a big Arkansas guy. Which I got to ask you, George, if you're listening, what do you think about the Tysons and the Walmart logos that might be appearing on your field soon? 2 biggest sponsors, Tysons and Walmart. Now, I think Oklahoma State is going to have Bank of Oklahoma, the BOK logo on their field tomorrow. But I got Auburn minus the 2.5 over Arkansas. I think it's a field goal game, so in that way, I'm good. I'm good. And I've got Tennessee minus the 6.5. Again, I wish my brain was letting me look. I can say Oklahoma's going to win. What I see right now, I can't go there. Now, if you also remember, I had this team as a 7-5, 8-4 team. Depending on what you see tomorrow, you might be looking at something like that because it's only going to continue to ratchet up. Missouri's playing really well. As much as I don't like Eli Drinkwitz, and I think he's kind of a goofball, it's a good football team. South Carolina, a hell of a lot better, and a lot of people are giving them credit for it, including myself at the beginning of the year. If Lenora Sellers is healthy and Rocket's healthy, that's a dangerous team. They could beat just about anybody. Should have beat LSU. Refs screwed them out of that one. You got to go to Ole Miss. Put up with the Lane train. Then you got the Saturday after Thanksgiving in Death Valley. So it doesn't get easy. So if you go to Tennessee and you take that L, you're staring down the barrel of 7-5 at least. At least. And if you lose that game, is that one of those, like I mentioned in the Oklahoma State-Arkansas game, do you let that game beat you twice and the next week you go to Auburn, which is a tough place to play for good football teams? That crowd gets the swag surfing. Aubie's out there having a good time. They're war eagling. Everybody's giddied up on Mama Goldberg's beef and cheese and Toomer's Corner lemonade. Yeah. I've got Tennessee winning that game. I hate saying it, but I do. I think they win by the spread. I would take Tennessee minus the 6.5. Now, I want everyone to realize I don't want anybody to come back and be like, oh, you're just an Oklahoma homer when you see. Talk to anybody that's had me on the show with them. Ask Chris and George from the Golden Boot. I try to keep it real, and I hate saying it. I'm not doing it for clicks. I'm not doing it for likes. It's just what I see. And what I see right now hasn't impressed me with the Oklahoma offense. And I don't know if you can just turn it up that quick in a week just by adding Nick Anderson. I hope I'm wrong. All right. Last segment for me before I get out of here. Again, don't forget the Golden Boot podcast coming up at 8:30. A bunch of good stuff on the Boot, man. Those guys are awesome. They do a great job covering everything, right? They've had some great guests on. Again, if you have a chance, you want to hear the story about how the Honey Badger got his name, go listen to the interview they did with Coach Cooper from Long Island. Fantastic interview, right? Fantastic interview. Also, if you're scrolling, you want to read some great information, check out collegefootballdogs.com. Go to all the socials and follow because there's articles published every day. We've now published over 2,000 articles at the College Football Dogs. And just like the shows on the Dog TV network, if there is a team, if there is a conference that you are a fan of, College Football Dogs has you covered. You want to know about Auburn? We got guys that cover Auburn. You want to talk about Big Ten football? We got guys covering the Big Ten. ACC covered. We got some of the best Group of 5 coverage out there. Go watch the Sun Belt Syndicate, right? You want some good Group of 5 talk? Go watch the Sun Belt Syndicate. Check them out. Great content. Fantastic show. Like I said, watch Football Frame of Mind, how they break down tape. Great stuff. Rock Hard Ball, Carter, those guys, fantastic. Very knowledgeable. They do a great job. So again, if you're part and you like college football, get on board. Now tomorrow, it's going to be a lot of fun. Tomorrow, I'm going to be helping out throughout the morning with the College Football Dogs Dog TV Game Day Show, a national game day show. Taylor Renz will be joining us. We'll have Hunter and Colin, the two head guys of College Football Dogs. We'll talk to numerous writers. Those writers and show hosts that I was telling you about from every conference, every team, we're going to have it all broken down. We're going to have picks. And if you're one of those people that you like to put a little money on the games, right? You like to put a little money on the games. You got Jeremy Orth is going to be on, and he's going to give you his best bets to make a little money on Saturday. So maybe even if your team loses, if you take them plus the points and they cover, it dulls the pain a little bit. Maybe it'll dull the pain a little bit. But we'll talk about the lines. We'll talk about, like I said, if you wanted some advice on how to make a little bit extra money on Saturday, we got you covered. We also like talking about food here on Sports Bites, and that's what I'm going to do now. Again, in the chat, I want to hear your thoughts. My top 5 nacho toppings. Now, I already said cheese. It's a given. You don't have to be like, I like chips and cheese as nachos. What do you like to put on it? What is your go-to? My honorable mention, black beans. I like black beans. Lettuce, kind of like a nacho salad. I'm okay with lettuce being on there. Guac. I love some good guac. Cilantro. I know a lot of people don't like cilantro. It has the soapy taste, they say. Some people like it. Some people don't. Fire roasted corn. Love fire roasted corn, right? My number 5, jalapeno. You got to have some jalapenos, whether they're pickled or they're fresh sliced. You got to have jalapeno. And I like the disc, like you see right there in the picture. I don't like the diced jalapeno. I like the disc. Some of them you get a little bit of the seed left in there. The capsaicin hits, and it goes in perfect with the sour cream, which is my number 4, right? My number 4 is sour cream. I think that you have to have sour cream. My insulin pump was going off. I had to change the sensor earlier today. But number 4 is my topping, sour cream. You got to have sour cream on there. Whether it's a Mexican crema, whatever, I like sour cream. Now, this will be the controversial part. Number 3, I put ground beef. A lot of people like ground beef on your nachos. Ground beef is number 3 for me. I love chicken nachos. You could do a little mojo chicken, put those on the nachos. I'm good. But my number 1 is pulled pork nachos. And I've had them at different places. I went to a Cardinals White Sox game at Busch Stadium. St. Louis style barbecue, pulled pork nachos. Fantastic. I took my wife to Bedlam, Oklahoma State, in Norman a couple years ago. Pulled pork nachos. Amazing. If you've got the time, you got the skill to smoke a Boston butt, you want to smoke a butt, make you some pulled pork nachos, you get a little salsa verde, some sour cream, some jalapenos, and again, I am a fan of the Carolina vinegary, mustardy kind of barbecue, like the golden barbecue almost. But I do like the hot honey barbecues, something with a little bit of sweet and a little bit of heat to it. But pulled pork is my number 1. I have never had pulled pork nachos and been like, you know what? That wasn't very good. That's why I've got pulled pork ahead of chicken and ground beef. I love ground beef nachos. That's the stalwart. It's the staple, right? But pulled pork, my wife, when I was telling her, she was like, what? Pulled pork? And I was like, honey, you said those pulled pork nachos at Bedlam. She was like, oh, yeah. That's what I love right there. I love the pulled pork nachos. But, guys, I want to say thank you for everybody that commented. Chris, George, the Big Ten backers, Brett, Brad. I love you guys, man. Thank you guys for hopping in, making the show a lot of fun. Don't forget, tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern, all across social media, the College Football Dogs TV National Game Day show will be going on. And we're going to have guests on talking about the biggest games. So if you're on the road, you want to listen, hop on in. We're going to be talking football. Again, follow the College Football Dogs on social media. A bunch of articles out no matter what team you root for, no matter what conference you're associated with. We got you covered at the College Football Dogs, right? And there's a lot of big news coming, guys. I keep trying to tell you that. It's coming. And be ready. Now, I'll say this. I say Boomer Sooner. I hope Oklahoma, I hope they win. I'm picking them to lose. I hate saying it. Damn it. I hate saying it. But that's what I think. Everybody, enjoy your Friday night. The Golden Boot's coming up. Enjoy the Golden Boot. Enjoy your game day. And if we don't get to talk to you on game day, then I will see you back for Reaction Monday. We'll break down, chew up everything that happened over the weekend. We'll talk about my 6 games. We'll see how good I was on my picks, if I was terrible, if I made you or me any money. We'll talk about that. But everybody, have a great Friday night. I hope you guys know that I appreciate everybody that comes on and takes a second to interact, to engage. Thank you for helping me live this dream. I thank you, and remember to always positively move forward, guys.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Bites with your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bites.